Hello and welcome to Alternative Viewpoint. In episode 3 of our podcast on Cavendish Court, we are talking with one of the long-term leaseholders, Mr. Sims, who has been living here since 2002. As Mr. Sims is an elderly gentleman, his speech is slower than normal. For that reason, this interview is split into 2 parts. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Sim. Thank you for taking part in this.
Thank you for inviting me.
Can you tell me when you move into the building, what did you like about it?
Well, it seemed quite comfortable often and convenient for my family and myself in many ways. Yeah. Things have changed since then. Say,
What did you think of the building when you first bought it?
it seemed okay. Yes. Convenient, yeah, in many ways.
And you moved in when the building was still managed by David Atkins.
Correct.
And
Yes.
you thought at the time that they were doing a good job with it, didn't you?
Well, to the best of my recollection, yeah, things seemed to run smoothly because I was given certain bills and direction which I followed there and tried to pay my bills on time or whatever. Say.
What did you think of the maintenance of the building?
Well, I moved in 2002, which is 5 years after the official opening of the building. And at that time, there was some arrangements made for a 5-yearly renovation or whatever once over. So I caught the first batch. The windows was regulation at the time, and some are, including mine. But the first year that I was here, I came in August, so consequently, it was past the decoration time. But by arrangements, not made by me, but, whatever, a 5-year span, sort of qualified for renovation, either internal or external.
So there was 5-year restoration work.
5 years, and some painting facial was undertaken.
Yeah.
Okay.
When did you notice that the building started deteriorating, in your opinion?
Well, it varies, see, because first, in the garage area, there was one particular individual that used to rev his back in the early morning, disturbing most of the tenants, occupants, unnecessary, because he was revving for an hour in the garage area when that could have been done on the street. Anyway, that didn't affect the building directly. With exhaust was affecting the tenants,
So that garage then had, when the person was doing that must have released a lot of
fumes
in the garage.
Correct.
It must have been quite polluted.
It would have been.
Yeah.
Would have been.
And that pollution would have gone into the garden, really.
Of course, yeah.
Because there are air vents directly in the garden.
Yeah. Yes.
So that would or that pollution would have gone into the garden and affected perhaps
The plant life or whatever.
And the children who play. It wouldn't really affect the plant life if there was plants there. It would have been able, if there were plants there, then the pollution would have been reduced by the plants.
I'll give him that. Because at that time in the morning, between maybe 5 or 6 or in that region, children wouldn't be playing in the garden. So, I would not include them at
But
that time.
pollution lingers.
Yeah, true.
So if there's no plants there, then pollution would linger.
Yeah, of course.
So there is going to be a pollution problem now when the gardens doesn't have enough sufficient plants to to be able
To
to
absorb.
to absorb
Yes,
the pollution
yes, yeah.
and because the plants absorb the carbon dioxide and release
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
oxygen, so
Yeah.
to basically clean the air for in the clean the air there. And there's so what other problems have you noticed with the building?
Well, the building, there's a part. It used to be infestation. Yeah. From the natural rats and mice and whatever, you see. And they're not friends of people as
When
such.
did this start?
Uh-huh. It's hard to say, but because I think the most affected people as the weather gets colder, you know?
Yeah, but when
Yeah.
did it start? When did you notice more vermin
Uh,
running around?
Personally, I was informed by one of my lessees,
One of the lessees. When
yes,
was this? When was this?
uh, is hard to pinpoint the criteria. But I tell you who the informed me, the doctor
Yeah,
used to live in top here.
yeah.
You know his name? I do, but I can't.
Started. Oh God.
Yeah. The, the neighbor who informed me, he had made arrangements for the rent-a-kill ward, that type of people, to deal with his situation. It is situation. So he introduced me to
Mm.
the party and asked me to join in, which I did.
Mm.
Yeah. He also made a contribution,
Mm.
yes, towards my cost. So that is what's to do in with the infestation. There's also a package that is still lying around that's put in the bin area.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's for the rats.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm.
Has it worked?
Huh?
Did it work?
It must work, yeah, somehow, because you see, with the bin area, there's been indiscriminate, dumping of items
Yeah.
that would attract such, creatures. But on my own behalf and for my own protection, I take measures
Yeah.
not to put items away to encourage those creatures. Eh?
Yeah. Would you say that these problems started around after 2012 or before?
Perhaps around that time.
Around the
It's
time.
hard to pinpoint, you see,
Mm,
because I didn't keep any records of any sort.
mm. But would you say that it's the past 7 to 8 years then more the problems have become more
More maybe noticeable.
yeah, more
Yeah,
noticeable within the past 7 to 8 years?
possible. Yeah.
This was the time of the right to manage when the leaseholder took over the maintenance of the building. Um,
Maybe it was around the time.
yeah.
Uh,
So when the leaseholder took over the maintenance of the building, they are responsible. They are the ones.
would be
Yeah,
anyone taking over the care and maintenance
mm.
would be definitely.
Yeah, and they are responsible for hiring managing agents, and some of them, the directors, are also responsible for the maintenance of the building. And now, because the building is under care of
Hmm.
the leaseholders, do you think that they have done a good job?
Somebody's doing a job of any sort.
They're not doing a job of any sort.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And do you know, were you involved with Right to Manage?
No, not
No,
directly. No,
no.
no, no.
But your name is on the, I think your name is on, you're one of the members on the Right to Manage. So they must have,
Mm.
they probably just did put your name on there.
It is possible. Because as a part of the organization, whether volunteer or not, you automatically, become accountable in a way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did anybody in the building, any of the leaseholder, approach you to explain to you, to speak to you about Right to Manage and explain to you what it means?
No, no, not as such. This when they. Hmm? Oh, yes, but not. at its precise time. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. Yeah.
I think I remember that I did approach you one time, and I spoke to you about right to manage there in around 2012. I spoke to you first.
Mm, might very well be, see, but as I said, not keeping records.
Mm.
It's not easy to pinpoint dates.
No, but I remember.
Just period.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And have you been kept informed about the what's go on in this building?
I haven't really. Yeah, going back, there's a time when periodically there were meetings
Mm.
of some sort. I'm afraid that after a certain period, I found myself withdrawing from some meeting. Reason? The meeting times didn't meet, with my preferred time of travel.
Mm.
See? Yeah. Meeting starting after 7 or whatever, and by judging by the behavior in in certain people,
Yeah.
yeah, from the safety angle, I don't wouldn't mind if I had company,
Yeah.
to visit the meetings.
Mm.
I did used to visit without taking a lot of action,
Yeah.
apart.
But did they come, and after the meeting, did they distribute the meeting minutes for you so you can keep up to date with what's going on? That's what they should have done,
Not a lot.
right?
Not a lot.
So they should have given you the meeting notes after the meeting to keep you informed,
There's partial, Yeah,
partial.
but not incorporated.
Have you ever spoken to any of the directors in the building?
We have had maybe two, 3 meetings. Uh,
That was when you were still attending the meetings, and then you
yeah,
saw the directors then.
that's when they used to have meetings on the premises of
Yeah.
Cavendish Court.
Mm.
What I was referring to is the meetings that were held at Fitzgerald restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
see? Because which is outside building, outside building here.
Mm.
I've been to meetings
Yeah.
at flat 11
Yeah.
on more
Did you
than one
know?
occasion.
Okay.
See?
So did the directors? Do you know that Brett was a director?
Yeah,
Yeah. And do you know what he did when he was a director? Any work that he did?
I assume that directors took some responsibility, for the upkeep or whatever, and the do's and don'ts of it will block to
Yeah.
see what needs doing and what's not done.
Do you think that they have been doing that?
It not appear so.
So essentially, they were directors but they didn't do any work in your opinion.
Well, i- to use a term, you I would say like ministers without portfolio.
Minister with that portfolio. Okay. So, you think that this building, since it was taken over by Right to Manage,
Hmm.
that's when the problem, the deterioration in the building
I
started?
see.
Yeah. What is the biggest effect that has had on you with the state of the building being what it is?
I've had problems with the state of the foliage in the front of my
Yeah.
residence. You see,
Okay. This was a bush that was out there that was.
and that was the gas meters
Hmm.
was completely well or almost impossible to reach. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And you asked Prime to remove that, didn't you?
yeah, yes. My daughter phoned on more than one occasion,
Yeah.
and it's only after a yen, took over the mantle, and so yeah, and put a pressure on them on somebody that such victims was removed because
Yeah.
I, it
So when
used
did you first come a complaint to Prime
for years ago.
years ago, and it was only removed this year, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
it's only sorted this year.
Yeah.
So I would say that since Prime took over in 2017,
Mhm.
have you had any contact with Prime?
The only contacts I've had is like receiving statements or bills or whatever for ground rent and service charge, that type of
Yeah,
correspondence.
Prime is not responsible for the ground rent. The Prime is responsible for the service charge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I've had contact.
But that's just them sending you letters.
No.
They did that sending letters. They didn't send you letters. The service charge.
The service charge came with an advice.
With what?
An advice.
With an advice.
Yeah.
But it was post.
How much to pay?
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's come through the post, right?
Yeah. Physically,
Yeah.
I've had no contact apart from the official, meeting, which is not many.
Yeah.
So the staff or whatever at Prime are not known to me, and me not known to them, perhaps.
Okay, so you were never told, but that when the managing agent was changed, there has been 3 managing agents after David Atkins, and then there was Acorn,
Yeah.
and then there was House, and then in 2017, that's when Prime took over.
I see.
Would you say that the building has got a lot worse since Prime took over?
Well, somebody's been doing little or nothing.
Yeah, they haven't been doing anything.
Little or nothing.
Yeah. Do you think that? Do you think that makes them? Do you think Prime is a professional company?
It's hard to say what profession
of in the block management.
I don't see any results that can verify that.
No, so you can't see any result that can verify the professional. Do you think that the director should have sacked Prime?
The point is this: if the directors don't know what they're doing, they can't sack anybody.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, then it's then you're not in a position.
You must have grounds, You see, for failure to do this A, B, C, D, whatever, we no longer require your service.
Yeah, well, that's right. The directors never kept Prime accountable. In other words,
I see.
Yeah. So the directors have let Prime do whatever they want in the building, and they've never kept them accountable simply because they don't know how to keep Prime accountable. I think the current directors think that they're changing it, but they're not changing it. They're just doing the same.
To change, if something is hot and it's already hot, you change to warm or cool. But if something is to be done and is not done, that does not constitute a change.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, that's right. One of the things that you have not been happy with is the state of the garden, right? Over the years.
Well,
I know you're a fan of wildlife.
I do.
Yeah.
Richard Attenborough, that type of,
What do you think of the garden?
Well, the garden, as it used to be, was allowed to get overrun or whatever, because as a lover, of wildlife, whatever, I used to put out nuts or whatever for the birds, and squirrels, and if it's not acceptable to those creatures, they just disappear.
Yeah. Well, the garden hasn't been very good. We all know that.
Yeah.
So that's down to also Prime's responsibility that they didn't maintain the garden. And you notice out there in the garden the leaves, the rust on the leaves. Yeah. That was horrible.
It is. I've noticed in the photographs taken, the new leaves or the replacement leaves, make it look a lot tidier.
Yeah, Well,
But of
the
course,
prime neglected that building,
yeah.
and they neglected all of that.
Yeah.
And in the end, I had to change it myself
Yes.
because they refused to listen to me.
There's a lot of moisture
Yeah,
seeping down in the garage here. You
yeah,
know.
there was a lot of moss.
Yeah.
That's because that the garden wasn't. That's because the
Maintained.
gardener
Hmm?
did not know the people that they hire
Mm-hmm,
prime
mm-hmm,
called gardeners.
mm-hmm.
They were not professional gardeners. They did not know what to do with the garden, so they didn't do anything with the
I
garden.
think the local call gardener is engaged as sort of gardener handyman. You know, that type of thing.
No, no, no. The handyman is a different person. The
The
gardener is a different
the
person.
one that is introduced to me.
Maybe he was a handyman.
Alex or something.
That he was a handyman. He wasn't the gardener.
Well, it's the same old the gardens. I
Well,
still see him from my window.
sometimes they call him to do a bit of work, but
I
he's not the
see.
gardener. There was another company that does the garden.
I don't know because
Yeah,
he used to park his vehicle just fine after that. Yeah.
yeah. Mm,
Uh,
mm.
he
And I
didn't do a
know,
lot.
yeah, I know. Without the garden, you've been stuck indoors most of the time, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think because you're a pensioner, you don't, you don't go far, but you still
Yes,
need to have fresh air and exercise.
true.
So,
But the fact that I'm a pensioner, it doesn't mean I should be penalized.
yeah, you shouldn't be penalized.
Hmm?
It's because
Okay.
they have
It's
essentially,
not my fault that I'm older than old people.
yeah,
No.
but they seem to have taken advantage of you because you are a pensioner,
No,
and
and
they can,
unimportant.
yeah, they have pretty much, they have ignored you for the past, well, forever since, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you've never spoken to none of the directors have ever spoken to you, have they?
Well, not as such. In the past, in the past, there have been directors that on a sort of neighborhood, sort of way, we said hello, or
But they weren't
whatever.
directors,
Ma-
just
Well,
neighbors.
I don't know. Whoever is or has been in charge hasn't been doing a lot.
Yeah, no, that's
Not
right.
not visible.
Yeah.
No.
Mm. Um, were you aware when the freehold was offered for sale by Skillgrant?
That I did get correspondence. You know,
Mm.
in that direction.
Did anybody come to ask if you wanted to buy your freehold? No.
No. I think it's up to the individual. Yeah.
Yeah. But in
Okay.
order to buy the freehold, people have to group together to buy it. So you
Mm,
needed about 13 flats to buy the
Well,
freehold.
the course of correspondence I received, it didn't make it a group thing.
No.
It was down to the individual flat.
Yeah, the landlord has to send a letter to every leaseholder,
Yeah.
and it was the leaseholders up to the leaseholder to organize themselves
Oh,
in order to buy the freehold. So it would have come down to the directors at the time to
oh,
organize
the
the meeting.
electors. That is when they could have been useful in contacting individuals. Yeah.
Yeah, but they never did.
No, not to me anyway.
No, not to no, they seem to think that
But you
most
could
of the people,
have a breakdown.
yeah, most people seem to think that they did not want to buy the freehold at the time.
Well,
So they did not understand the importance of buying the freehold.
true.
Mm. Because had they bought the freehold, it would have been very cheap. And it would have meant that they didn't have to pay any more ground rent.
Did that make you exempt from ground rent?
Yeah, they would have been able to get rid of the lease, the constraint of the lease or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So those who did eventually buy the freehold,
Mm-hmm.
their lease is now 999 years, which is 1,000 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
1,000 years. It's venture means that this building the lease on this building will never expire. And that's a very good thing. That's very attractive when you want to sell your property, or if you know. But if you have a building that looks so awful like this, the attraction of a share of the freehold won't add much value. It needs to have a building that is in top. This building is only 27 years old, and it doesn't look very good. And have you noticed there has been people sitting outside?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Twice this week, I've had to step over, people occupying the exit steps from my block.
Did it ever happen when David Atkins was managing this building?
Not to my knowledge. I
No.
haven't seen that.
Again, those kind of people have only been like the past 6 or 7 years, 7 years, 7, 8 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Then again, you see, I can't pinpoint a particular time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do not know
Hmm.
that people had more regard for the in the past than they have now.
Yeah, you mean that they have they were more
More
conscientious.
respect.
Yeah, more respect, and they were
Yeah.
more conscientious about maintaining the block.
Yeah.
But now
I mean,
people tend to.
now you go and you see underwear, all type of
Mm,
waste matter
yeah,
hanging on the rails.
yeah. My waste matters hanging on the rails.
Oh yeah.
So, do you think if you think these directors weren't doing the job, why do you think they wanted to be directors?
It's beyond me because I mean, there must be something other, maybe power crazy or whatever. There must be something that's beneficial.
To them? Yeah.
Yeah, must be.
What do you think it is? I mean, this job is unpaid. It's
Mhm.
voluntary.
Yeah.
You don't. It
Yeah.
doesn't require qualification to do the work. So
Mhm.
the only qualification you need to be a director in
Mhm.
Cavendish Court is if you own a property in this building, if you are a
Mhm.
leaseholder. So there's no glory of fame. So why do you think people still want to be directors?
The people that offer that must think there's some kind of prestige, yeah,
Yeah.
involved. Yeah.
So their reason for being director is to serve themselves.
But it's got to be personal. If you volunteer, yeah, for something, and it's not charity. If it's charity, you're gonna go to give your time and whatever. If it's to control, yeah, then it's to do with the power.
Yeah. It's really about power control, you're saying.
Yeah.
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 Do you think that's why they behave the way they do? It's like they ignored you. They've never introduced themselves to you, right?
Not in so many words, you
No.
see.
But
Then again, it seems that I am a victim of being older than them. See,
it's ageism. You're
uh,
saying ageism.
but then again, you see, I'm not the only one that's not shown, say, general understanding, cooperation, but I'm not. I just the odd one, yeah, but not the only one.
I think you show an understanding of cooperation. I think you do. I think actually more than some people in the building. I think more than the directors, definitely. The directors have had their people who they are friends with, and these friends will support them. It's not about doing the job. It's about whether or not they've got they've got people who like them and support what they do. It doesn't matter if they do a good job or a bad job. I mean, Mamas and Brett and Kaleem and all the others have done a terrible job. Wouldn't you say?
Well, the thing that I think would be important is doing a job of any sort.
Yeah, but they haven't done any job. I don't think it should be a job of any sort, but it's whether you do a
What I mean,
bad job or good
enough
job.
effort.
Yeah.
If there's no effort, how can you vote for it?
Well, but if they do a bad effort, you shouldn't be voting for them either. If they're doing a bad job, you shouldn't be voting for them
Mm,
either.
mm.
So you can do, yeah, even if they put in effort, but they're doing a bad job, they shouldn't be
So
voted
yeah,
in.
yeah.
But there are people in this building. They have certain people supporting them, like James and Shalene is supporting Mammoth. I think with some of the others, like Kaleem and stuff. And Brett had George and Nicole and Jenny supporting him for a while.
Mm.
And that's how it works in this building. Is that
So
they
is it like a Three Musketeers?
not like the Three Musketeers. They're just saying that there's. I would say it's more groupy kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Lackeys,
the same birds of brothers.
No, I said no. I say it's more people. Certain people are like lackeys.
Yeah, yeah.
Lackeys. They just hangers on. They're
Mm,
not.
mm,
They don't
mm,
do any work either. But they just hang. They just uh, buddy up with certain people, and they do. And it's not about doing a good job. It's not. It's not that the directors have done a good job. It's just that they have, like Brett and Nicole. They're both and Jenny. They're all white together, so
mm.
it's going to like that.
But how do you become a director
Well, you just get those people to vote you in.
without a plan of some sort?
Well, you just get those people who to vote you in. If you can convince enough people to be on your side, they can vote you in. I don't think in this building that you should have voting for directors, because people are voting not on the basis of the work that people or the knowledge that people have, but they're actually voting on whether or not they like a certain person. Do you not
Yeah,
agree?
I agree with you.
So I say that if you can get if you can get enough people to like you enough and to vote for you, then that's fine. But it doesn't matter if you are ignorant and
So
stupid.
they're actually voting. Oh,
Well, I
I
don't.
thought it's
It was never voted. No,
voluntary.
yeah, it was voluntary. And
Yeah.
actually, Nicole, Brett, and George were never voted in to be directors at all. It was they just nobody else was willing to stand up to be directors to
I
work.
see.
And
So
they
it come to volunteer then.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was voluntary at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
there was no voting
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't for. Like I said, people in this building shouldn't be allowed to vote.
The way I see, each one of the directors would automatically be responsible for,
Yeah, but if
certain
you don't know what
functions.
you're doing,
Huh?
you have to understand that to be a director in this building, you don't have to have any knowledge about managing block management. So, if you don't know what you're doing, then
Mm.
you don't know, then they're not going to be able
Yeah.
to do
That's
anything.
it seemed to me that somebody somewhere should know what they're doing.
Unfortunately, I don't, it's not, that's not the case in
It's not
this.
so.
No, it's not the case. And that's the
But so
failure.
it's like they're school kids.
Yeah, that's the failure of right to manage. They didn't even understand what right to manage was. It
Mm.
was me who actually had to go out and do the work
I see.
and get the right to manage
Mm.
and get the solicitor in to do the work. And
Mm.
all they had to do was just to say they agree to right to manage, and then the solicitor did all the work.
Mm.
And once the right to manage was finished, then it was left to the leaseholders to
Mm.
organize themselves. And unfortunately, nobody bothered to learn how to manage this building, and they just thought they just pass on um, to to people who want to be directors.
Mm.
And of course, it's like you said before, some people want to have power and control, so they took it on themselves to be directors, and
Mm.
that's just how it's been for the past
Yeah.
years. Do you think that's a good situation?
No, I don't. I think at I think myself, whether it's voluntary or otherwise, our director should be expected to do a certain amount of.
Did anybody ask you to be a director?
No, 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 no,
No.
yeah.
It's because they think you're too old.
I would volunteer when it comes to the voting, and somebody has said to me, eh, will you volunteer to a director? Number one, I'd want to know the extent of my responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hmm? Am I expected to see out the roof, the front, the back, yeah, the garage, because directors should have amount of responsibilities.
No, to be a director in this building, you don't need to have any responsibility because
No, I mean,
the directors have actually put the responsibility onto the managing agent.
True, but the managing agent isn't cited in Cavendish Court, so directors have more contact with Cavendish Court than agents.
But the managing agent is responsible for the maintenance.
Yeah.
You have directors who are ignorant, who have no knowledge. So this is why we have to hire a managing agent to do the job, because they have no knowledge. So the directors think that the managing agent will do the work for them.
The groundwork.
Yeah.
Well, I'll talk with. If I have a problem with my flat water, I should know. If I have heard with Yen Red or whatever, that that problem,
Yeah,
will taken up and referred to the agent or what?
no, you can go direct to the agent, and they should do their job.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they are the professional. You should, if you have a problem in the building, you should be able to call the managing agent, and the managing agent should be able to sort it out. This is why they are responsible for the maintenance of this building. They are paid by us, so they have a responsibility to this, right?
So again, the directors are just figureheads then.
Yeah, they can be figureheads. You can do nothing. And most of the time they haven't done anything.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, it's because when you don't know, this is why we have to hire a managing agent, because the people who are directors haven't got a clue about what to do.
Yeah.
Right? If they were clever, if they were intelligent, and if they were knowledgeable, they would be able to manage this building without a managing agent.
Yeah.
Right?
Understood.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Yeah. So it's because of the level of ignorance and the lack of education. That's why we hire a managing agent, and the directors rely on the managing agents because they think that the managing agents have the knowledge, the experience to manage a block of flats. So really, the managing agent is totally responsible for the maintenance of this building. The directors don't know a single thing. There's not a single thing. Yeah. It's like you said before, their motivation is power and control, right?
I'm a director.
Yeah, I'm a director.
And it starts there and it ends there.
Yeah. That's why you've never heard the directors. They've never spoken to you because they've never done the work. So
I'm glad, because they would be wasting my time if they're going to talk to me on a subject that they know nothing about.
Yeah. So that's the tragedy of this building, is that we have a lot of people who are very dishonest, in my opinion, and who are lazy, who lack education, the education. And that's the failure of Right to Manage, is when people don't have the skills to do the job. This is why this building looks the way it is. And until leaseholder accept that this is their failure, they won't be able to ever be able to look any better, because nobody accepts responsibility. Like Kaleem, he was a director, and he was a director from 2014 or 15 or something. So he was also a director. And yet when I spoke to him and I told him, you are responsible for this building, the way the state of this building was your fault, his response was, I haven't been a director for 5 years. So he's blaming somebody else. He's blaming Nicole and George for the damage in this building, which shows you the mentality of the leaseholders, is that they're constantly fighting and blaming each other, and they're not taking responsibility. Had he been simply said, okay, I didn't know what I was doing.
If you're going to blame somebody for not doing, there's got to be some standards set what is expected to be done.
Yeah. There's no standards. There's no. It's because people are not educated enough. They won't. This concludes part 1 of our interview with Mr. Sims.